Welcome to another informative video on our channel. Today, we'll be diving into an important topic for Twitter users, rate limits and how to avoid encountering the dreaded rate limit exceeded error. If you're someone who relies on the Twitter API or frequently performs actions on the platform, understanding rate limits is crucial. So, let's get started and make sure you stay within Twitter's limits. Section 1. Introduction to Twitter rate limits. What are rate limits and why are they important? How do rate limits work on Twitter? Different rate limits for different Twitter API endpoints. Section 2. Common causes of rate limit exceeded errors. What actions on Twitter consume API requests? Identifying activities that can lead to exceeding rate limits. How exceeding rate limits affects your Twitter account and API access. Section 1. What are rate limits and why are they important? Rate limits refer to the restrictions placed on the number of API requests a user can make within a specific time period. They are implemented by platforms like Twitter to ensure fair usage and prevent abuse of their resources. Rate limits are crucial for maintaining the stability, performance, and security of the platform. They help prevent spamming, overloading servers, and unauthorized access to user data. How do rate limits work on Twitter? On Twitter, each API endpoint has its own rate limit, which defines the maximum number of requests that can be made within a specific time window. The rate limits are typically defined as a combination of two factors: the number of requests allowed per window and the duration of the window. Twitter utilizes a token-based system to enforce rate limits. Every API request consumes one or more tokens, depending on the type and complexity of the request. Once the limit for a specific endpoint is reached, any further requests will be rejected with a rate limit exceeded error until the rate limit resets. Different rate limits for different Twitter API endpoints. Twitter applies different rate limits to different API endpoints based on their importance, potential impact on the platform, and the user experience they provide. For example, high-traffic endpoints like the statuses/user_timeline or search/tweets endpoints usually have lower rate limits compared to less frequently used endpoints. The rate limits are usually expressed as a number of requests per 15-minute window. Twitter provides developers with detailed documentation that outlines the specific rate limits for each API endpoint, including both authenticated and unauthenticated requests. It's important to review these limits and adjust your application's usage accordingly to avoid rate limit errors. By understanding the rate limits for different Twitter API endpoints, developers can effectively manage their API usage and ensure compliance with Twitter's guidelines while providing a smooth experience for their users. Section 2. What actions on Twitter consume API requests? Several actions on Twitter consume API requests, including retrieving user timelines, fetching tweets, retweets, and replies from a user's timeline, posting tweets, creating new tweets or publishing replies, searching tweets, performing searches based on keywords, hashtags, or user mentions, following and unfollowing, adding or removing users from your follow list, liking and unliking, interacting with tweets by liking or unliking them, retweeting and unretweeting, sharing or undoing a retweet of a tweet, sending and deleting direct messages, communicating privately with other users. Account-related actions, updating profile information, changing settings, or blocking/unblocking users. Identifying activities that can lead to exceeding rate limits. Certain activities are more resource-intensive and can contribute to exceeding rate limits more quickly. These include performing frequent and rapid requests, making multiple API calls within a short period, especially without proper throttling, conducting intensive searches, executing complex or broad searches that require processing a large volume of tweets, operating popular applications. If your application has a large user base and experiences high traffic, it can exhaust the rate limits more quickly. It's crucial to be mindful of these activities and ensure that your application's usage aligns with Twitter's rate limit guidelines to prevent encountering rate limit errors. How exceeding rate limits affects your Twitter account and API access. Exceeding the rate limits set by Twitter can have the following consequences. Rate limit exceeded errors. When the rate limit is reached, Twitter's API will respond with an error message indicating that the rate limit has been exceeded. This prevents further requests until the rate limit resets. Temporary API restrictions. Repeatedly exceeding rate limits or engaging in abusive behavior can result in temporary restrictions being placed on your API access. This can include extended periods of rate limit reductions or even temporary suspension of API privileges. Degraded application performance. If your application relies heavily on Twitter's API and exceeds rate limits frequently, it may lead to slow response times, timeouts, or failures in retrieving and processing data. Negative user experience. Users of your application may experience delays in receiving real-time updates, disrupted functionality, or an overall degraded experience if rate limits are consistently exceeded. To ensure a smooth user experience and maintain a healthy relationship with Twitter's platform, it's important to monitor and manage your API usage within the prescribed rate limits. Implementing strategies to optimize requests, efficiently cache data, and adhere to best practices will help avoid these negative consequences. Conclusion. Congratulations! You've now gained a comprehensive understanding of Twitter rate limits and how to avoid encountering the frustrating rate limit exceeded error. By following the strategies and best practices we've discussed, you'll be able to optimize your Twitter API usage, enhance your account's performance, and ensure a seamless user experience. Remember, staying within the rate limits is key to maintaining a healthy relationship with the Twitter platform. Happy tweeting! Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more informative content, and hit the notification bell to stay updated. Feel free to leave any questions or comments down below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you